This is going to be a very quick lesson on converting bearings and azimuths to bearings. This is just going to be a study session for the Operating Engineers Surveyor branch. So let's do a quick review of bearings and azimuths. Both of them are measured in degrees and they are a measure of direction. It's how you get from point A to point B. Which direction would I go in? Main difference are bearings contain cardinal directions. Those are your north, east, south, and west. And they can range from 0 to 90 degrees because they must fit in that quadrant. If you divide the circle into 4 parts, you're going to have each maximum value be 90 degrees. The bearings value will increase when they're going away from that north-south line and decrease when they're going towards the north-south line. While azimuths, they can range from 0 to 360 degrees. Increase going clockwise and decrease going counterclockwise. So let's do a quick picture. This azimuth right here, 0 degrees. If we do a full circle, we're going to hit 360 degrees. Where with bearings, each of these we're going to max out at 90 degrees on the east to west line. The value increases going away from this north-south line. So let's say southwest 45 degrees, that's going to be equal to 225 degrees as an azimuth. 45 degrees northeast, that's the same thing as 45 degrees as an azimuth. And there are quick ways that we can convert between these two methods. And I'll teach you. So if anything's in the northeast quadrant right here, we know their values must be between 0 and 90 degrees. This symbol in the middle, that's called theta. It's a way you can determine an unknown degree or unknown value. Everything in this section is going to be in the northeast. Your azimuth will be equal to your bearing and your bearing will be equal to your azimuth. So if you have a bearing of 20 degrees northeast, you just have to drop the northeast part and you'll have a 20 degrees as an azimuth. Moving towards the southeast section. Everything in this quadrant will be from 90 degrees to 180 degrees. And to convert between the two, you're going to say 180 minus your bearing will be equal to your azimuth, and 180 degrees minus your azimuth will be equal to your bearing. You just have to either take away or slap on the cardinal directions. We're subtracting our value from 180 because it's before this 180 line right here. Now let's move to southwest. Everything in your southwest section, we know your azimuth values are going to be from 180 to 270. If you are giving a bearing, all you have to do is add 180 degrees, take away the cardinal directions, and you'll get an azimuth. If you're given an azimuth, any value between 180 and 270, all you have to do is subtract 180, put on the southwest cardinal directions, and you'll get a bearing. Similar to the northwest section, anything from 270 to 360. If you're given a bearing, a bearing that says northwest, all you have to do is say 360 minus that value is equal to your azimuth. Similar, if you're given an azimuth, something from 270 to 360, all you have to say is 360 minus that value will get you a bearing. So let's try to do a few examples together. So we're going to start off with a bearing of 83 degrees northeast. We know we're going to be in this value because it says northeast. Because it's in the northeast quadrant, all we have to do is drop this northeast. So a bearing of 83 northeast will have an azimuth of 83 degrees. Now let's try an azimuth of 332 degrees. 332 degrees is right here in this rule. We're gonna say 360 minus 332. We get 28. So we should have a bearing going northwest at 28 degrees. Now a bearing southwest, 70 degrees. Southwest, let's look at this rule. We're given a bearing, we're looking for an azimuth. We just have to add 180 to it, so 180 plus 70. We get 250 degrees. So we're going to have an azimuth of 250 degrees. Next we have an azimuth of 169 degrees. 90 through 180 is the azimuth section. We're looking for an azimuth of 169 and converting it to a bearing. 180 minus 169, we get 11 degrees. Because it's in this quadrant, we're going to say 11 degrees southeast. Okay, now let's try a bearing of 30 degrees northwest. Boom. We're going to say 360 minus 30. We get 330 degrees. And that would be your azimuth. Now azimuth of 190 degrees. 190 degrees, we're going to end up in this section. We're given an azimuth, and we're looking for a bearing, so we'll say 190 minus 180 is equal to 10 degrees. So this should be 10 degrees southwest. And that's the whole lesson.